Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a story. This used to be one of my favorite stories to tell, but some elements of this story were later involved in a very dangerous situation that led to somebody getting hurt pretty severely, and that changed the way I looked at things and made me not really like talking about this particular element. But all elements are long gone, and it's been quite a few years, so it's time to tell a story involving my 1978 Ford F-150. I'm going to show you a picture that's a screenshot that I took from one of my former videos, and as far as I know, it is the last known photo of my 1978 F-150. It's beautiful. That particular Ford F-150 had a 351M with a C6 automatic transmission. It was four-wheel drive, and those of you who know the platform know that it took a lot to stop those trucks, even when nobody was touching the gas, and especially in low range. My friends and I were particularly amused by this, and sometimes we would just put it into gear and let the thing go into the woods with nobody behind the wheel and see how many trees it ran over before it finally came to a stop. One time we were going to have a party. It was late in the fall and it was pretty muddy outside, and I had a brilliant idea. Behind my house at the time was a 30-acre field that had a trail going around its perimeter. It was late in the fall, so the trail was quite soft and the field had already been mowed. My friends and I would regularly booze cruise that trail, and that led to there being some pretty deep ruts all the way around the field. So deep that it took effort to get the truck back out of the ruts once you fell into them. But once you were into the ruts, they didn't stop the truck just followed them. You didn't need to touch the gas, you didn't need to touch the wheel. The truck just kept circling the field. And that was pretty cool. And I thought, what if we put a keg on the back of that truck and we had a pallet fire in the middle of that field? And that was a really good idea. So we did it. All was going well. The pallets were ablaze. The truck was circling with nobody behind the wheel and all of our precious liquids on board. There was a car hood in tow for people who wanted to ride along, and we had music. I did my rendition of Godhead's Reckoning. For those of you who don't know, I sometimes do vocals, but that's not what I was known for at the time. At the time, what I was known for was getting really wasted, and I could do a 20-second keg stand with nobody holding my feet. The problem with a keg stand is the purpose of a keg stand is to get yourself completely tanked, out of your mind tanked, and that's exactly what I did. Not once, not twice, not even 3 times. I did this 5 times successfully on the back of a moving truck to show off for the people that were at this party. So as you can imagine, I was not in my right mind. And you know how parties went back then. The girls would have some sort of drama, the guys would get involved, people would puff up their chest, and a fight would break out. And even though you say no cops under any circumstances whatsoever, absolutely no police officers, sometimes the police would show up. But we were all newly legal, and I was just itching for an altercation with the local law enforcement. The rest of the story, as you can imagine, is a bit murky for me. I really only have what other people told me, so I'm not sure what exactly happened. But from what I understand, there was an officer walking around on my private property trying to stop something from happening, and I don't know what he was there for. I apparently saw him, became enraged, and stopped him dead in his tracks. When he asked for my identification, I pulled it out really fast, like it was a quick draw rig, and I stuffed it in his face, and apparently with force. I hit this man in the face with my identification. That would have been cause to floor me for most officers, but this guy must have been a bit more patient. He looked at my ID. I told him, I'm 21 now, I can do whatever I want. Everybody here is legal. You get the hell off my property. He then apparently asked if anybody was driving because he got a report somebody was doing donuts in the field or something like that. I said, no, nobody's driving. We're all sleeping here wherever we want. On the ground, if we want to sleep on the ground here, we can do what we want because we're of age. And I really read this guy the riot act. And apparently just then, my 78 F-150 passed behind me with nobody at the wheel and an obscene amount of booze on the bed of that truck. Weirdly enough, absolutely nobody was hurt and nobody went to jail. I woke up the next morning laying in the driveway at around 7 o'clock in the morning, and I could still hear my truck circling the field. I was in no shape to chase it down, so I just went in the house and went to bed. Later that afternoon, I woke up, it had stopped, it had run out of gas, and the battery was dead at that point. I juiced everything back up, and I continued doing the kind of things that I did with that particular truck, which did eventually lead to somebody getting hurt. That's my story of my 1978 Ford F-150. I hope you liked it.